Well, affordability. Everybody's talking about affordability right now. Young people cannot get into a house. That's true. President Trump floating the 50-year mortgage idea. Not nuts about that. Again, we played this a little earlier. Here's Laura Ingraham asking President Trump about that in number 79.
Your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you know, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is 50, you pay something less from 30. That some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates. And I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months, fortunately. I have a guy too late. You know, Jerome Powell, we call him too late. He was too late in everything, except when it came to before the, the Democrat, so-called Democrat election, which didn't work. But we're going to get interest rates down. But even with interest rates up, the economy is the strongest it's ever been. You know, you asked me, just to go back to the beginning of your question, you talked about prices. We're down on energy. We're down on interest rate. You know, interest rates are down despite the Fed. Now, if we had a normal person at the Fed, would have really low interest rates.
Okay, so people say, I hear it said, and I have read some people that study this, political science types, have sent out some recent memos behind the scenes saying that when President Trump says things like, the economy is in the best shape it's ever been, Ed, that's not resonating. And Democrats keep using the word affordability, and that is resonating. Agree or disagree?
Oh, agree. Chris, the White House has been sending daily communications about prices coming down and everything's great. It's since last week, since Trump started hitting the alarm bells on this, and it just hasn't been working.
So the president continuing to say the economy is as strong as it's ever been, that is not, it's not landing. It's not working for many people. I don't know if it's most, but many people don't feel that way. We know, and we're going to talk to Steve more, personal debt, we talked about this last week, is going up. People are not going to spend less on Christmas this year, we found out, but they are probably going to rack up more debt, more personal debt than ever before. U.S. household debt hits a new record, the New York Fed has found. So look, particularly for younger people, they're up against it. And there are a lot of reasons why, and Harumpers had lots of comments on this when I explained the Stigall plan there yesterday. But the reality is the daily grind for 30-somethings is very real. And we're talking about 30-somethings with good careers and incomes. They're still locked out of the housing market. I mean, you're talking about starter homes that are now averaging somewhere between $400,000, $420,000 a year. Starter homes. At a current 6.3% interest rate on a 30-year loan. The weight of that crushes any hope of home ownership. And then you pile on what is, on average, student debt of $40,000. Renting, then, all of a sudden becomes not temporary, it's a trap. You don't build any wealth. There is no stable nest for families that we desperately need. And so what happens there? Birth rates start to plummet to record lows. Listen, we are facing headwinds, an aging tax base. We've talked a lot about how AI is reshaping jobs overnight. Housing, though, this is the heartbeat of our economy. Housing matters big time. The realm of builders and plumbers and electricians. We got to unlock thousands more starter homes than we have at present, whether it's new builds or existing ones on the market. And we got to do it quickly, and we got to do it fairly, and place it in the hands of families ready to make them their own. And that's why I came up with this plan. I've run it by a couple of people. They liked it. I've talked with a couple of people in finance. They liked it. See what you think about this. This is a market bridge between a couple of generations. I think this invites accomplished older Americans to invest directly in starter homes for young renters next door. And it flips this resentment that's building into a partnership. Sustainable prosperity. Here's how it works. It requires no government spending, no added debt. Take private investors who step up and fund starter mortgages for first-time buyers, like crowdsourcing or municipal bonds or opportunity zones, whatever you want to call it, but with a focus on homes for renters who have solid incomes. So for the investor, it's a straightforward proposition. You get a reliable 3% annual yield on the principal of the mortgage's life, for the mortgage's entire life. For example, steady cash flow that sidesteps the stock market. You don't have any of that stock market whiplash or crypto gambles. This is just a steady stream of income over 30 years. And then tax breaks will seal this deal, by the way. You can deduct in this plan, I would say, up to $1 million in the first year to reduce taxable income. Banks would handle the financing. The FHA would cover up to 85% of any defaults. I would think of it as a low-risk annuity, but grounded in the homes of tomorrow's families instead. So for renters buried in student loans and leases, this is a clear path forward, in my opinion. Just 5% down on a $420,000 house. That would lock you in at a 3% rate over 30 years. With principal and interest, your payment is about $1,700 a month. That's a savings of about $800 from today's rates. Far better than savings from the 50-year mortgage proposed a couple of days ago. Now, here's the best part of my plan. Students in debt with student loan debt, $200,000, up to $200,000, roll it right into the mortgage. Make it all one payment. Knock down the house, knock down the student loan at the same time. And that student loan interest, tax deductible, just the same as the mortgage interest. And now you say, why would someone invest in this? Why would wealthy people invest in it? Well, in a world of 4.1% treasuries and endless volatility, this plan blends security with community building. Capital doesn't sit idle. It multiplies. Talk about fueling 100,000 new or existing homes. You then ignite 500,000 construction and real estate jobs, framers, electricians, plumbers, pouring billions into our communities. And then, of course, homeownership, as we all understand, delivers property taxes. It builds owner equity. It nurtures families. Hopefully sparks a faltering birth rate. Look, economists agree every dollar invested here results in 1.5 to 3 times in GDP growth. So my plan boils down to this. Channel private dollars into starter home mortgages, backed by safeguards and incentives. Enact it, and then we shift from mortgage shortages to surges. We have more homeowners. We have more jobs. We have stronger communities. In my view, this is not just sound policy. This is the economics of unity. It takes those who have amassed some wealth and achieved some things and own stuff and have cash and liquidity. It takes that. They invest. They get a little return, and they're also putting America and young Americans first at the same time. Young people who are saddled with debt, can't get out from under it, can't afford their first home. This is how the more affluent in our midst benefit from helping them out. This is all free market, and it doesn't involve the government even a little bit. This is the economics of unity. This is how you bridge the divide in the country. This is how I think you end this grievance culture, this wedge issue of the haves and the have-nots, the boomer generation who's sitting on a ton of equity or whatever, versus the, what are they called, Zoomers, who can't afford anything right now. Can you imagine rolling all of that student loan debt and a mortgage into one monthly payment? The interest on which you get to write off come tax time? And imagine people who have a couple of bucks investing in those mortgages to make them possible. I call it the Stigall plan, Fast Eddie. I think it's a win-win. I might bounce that off of Steve Moore. I definitely think I'm going to submit it over there at Town Hall and write it up. What do you think?
I like it.
That's my back of the napkin math.
I'm trying to think of any problems with it. I'll have to come back with if I come up with any issues. But on the surface, we're hearing it right now for the first time. I like it a lot.
It involves no tax dollars. Now, tax credits, yes, but that's okay. That stimulates growth. We're not going to take as much money from well-to-do people if they will invest this way. We will give them tax incentives for doing so. But it doesn't involve taking tax money from somebody else and putting it elsewhere.
The Chris Stigall Show podcast.